It started with a delivery I never expected. A worn leather satchel, dropped off at my front porch, with no return address, no note, just my name, written in blocky, unmistakable handwriting I hadn't seen in 11 years. Molly Jensen, the woman I almost married. I stood in my slippers, coffee half poured, staring at the bag as if it might explode. I hadn't heard her name spoken aloud in over a decade, let alone written. Inside the satchel, 37 letters, all in my handwriting, all addressed to Molly. I nearly dropped the bag, because I'd never mailed a single one. Back when Molly and I split, I coped the only way I knew how, by writing letters I never meant to send. Pages of raw, unfiltered emotion, some angry, some apologetic, some full of longing, some sarcastic and stupid. I wrote to her birthday after birthday, when I saw a photo of her engaged to someone else, when I met someone new, when that ended, too. I wrote when I was drunk, when I was numb, when I was happy, and she still haunted me, but I never sent them. I kept them in a shoebox under my bed. I even labeled it, "Letters I'll never send." When I moved apartments, I swore I threw it away. Apparently I didn't. Apparently someone else found them, and now they were back. I sat on the floor of my kitchen and opened the first one. It was dated 3 weeks after we broke up. Dear Molly, you left your hoodie here. I wore it for 3 days before I realized it still smelled like you, and threw it into the laundry. Now it just smells like detergent and regret. I laughed, genuinely. God, I was such a wreck. I flipped through others. Some were hilarious, some devastating, some too honest. And then, tucked in the back of the satchel, was a letter I hadn't written, to Jake, from Molly. I stared at the envelope, not breathing. I opened it. Inside, "Dear Jake, so, you finally found them. Or maybe they found you. Either way, I guess this means the game is on." I read them, every single one, even the one where you compared my mom to a lawnmower. I laughed. I cried. I remembered. So here's the deal. You want to talk? Come find me. But first, follow the letters. Yours in madness, M. Attached was a note with coordinates. Coordinates. Who does that? Molly does. Ordered. The first location was a diner 2 towns away. Molly and I used to drive there for pie on Sunday nights. The staff knew our names, knew our order before we sat down. I hadn't been there since the night we ended things. I found the next clue, taped under the table where we used to sit. Another letter. Jake, you once told me this diner made the best cherry pie in the state. You were wrong. It was the moment you said that, while spilling coffee on your shirt, that made it the best. Meet me where we first said goodbye. So I drove 2 more hours, to the bench by the train station. There, in a crack of the wooden frame, another envelope. You said good be here. I didn't, so let me do it right. One more stop. The cabin. Yes, our cabin. I hadn't thought about the cabin in years. It was our secret place. A rundown fixer-upper we rented one summer, with stars in our eyes, and the illusion that love alone could pay rent. The drive was long, 5 hours. My fingers trembled on the wheel. When I got there, I saw a flicker of light inside. My heart stopped. She was there. Molly stood by the fireplace, a stack of my letters on the table beside her. Her hair was shorter now. She wore glasses, but her smile, the same. Took you long enough, she said. I don't even know how to explain. You don't have to, she said. I read your heart, every version of it. I sat down slowly. Why now? Why do all this? She hesitated, then handed me a folder. Inside, a doctor's note. Stage 2, lymphoma. I found your letters when I was cleaning out my storage unit, she said. I was angry at first. I thought, what right did you have to still write me after all these years? But then I read them, and I felt less alone. I couldn't speak. My throat burned. I don't know how long I have, Jake, but I didn't want to go without saying the things I left unsaid, without showing you what you meant. I held her hand. You're not going alone. We spent the weekend in the cabin, reading the letters, all of them. We laughed, we cried, we remembered, and then one morning she gave me a pen. Write one more, to you. She shook her head. To the guy who'll read this someday and think he lost me forever. Remind him that love doesn't die. So I did. Molly's treatment started the next month. I drove her to every session. Some were brutal, some hopeful, some so exhausting we just held hands and said nothing. Months passed. The letters became our ritual. She wrote, I wrote. We wrote two versions of ourselves. We no longer were. And slowly, she got better. Remission. The most beautiful word I've ever heard. A year later, we went back to the cabin. We brought the letters, all of them. We burned them in the fireplace. Together. Not to forget, but to let go. She looked at me, that same sparkle in her eye. Jake, she said, I have one last letter. She handed me a small envelope. Inside, a ring. You never got to propose, so I'm doing it. Marry me. I did, and this time, I mailed every single letter of our story to the world, because some love stories take a detour. Some letters take years to arrive, but when they do, they bring you home.